Translation. With an appealing voice, the poor small fish said to King Sativrata, who was very merciful, "My dear king, protector of the poor, why are you throwing me in the water of the river, where there are other aquatics who can kill me? I am very much afraid of them." Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. In the Matsya Purana it is said, Ananta Shaktiya Bhagavan Matsya Rupi Janardana Kridatam Yachayam Asa Swayam Satyavratam Nripa. The Supreme Personality of Godhead possesses unlimited potency. Nonetheless, in his pastime in the form of a fish, he begged protection from King Sativrata. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militamyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So this is the story of Matsya Avatar, who was the first of the main 10 incarnations of the Lord. It's said that the incarnations of the Lord are unlimited and incessant. They are compared to the waves of the ocean. There's so many incarnations that they cannot be counted, and they're always appearing in different planets and different universes incessantly. And among those there are 10 main incarnations, of which the first is Matsya Avatar. Can you not hear me? Okay, is that better? Can you hear me now? Okay. So Matsya Avatar is the first of the main 10 incarnations of the Lord. And the quote in the purport here that Srila Prabhupada has quoted is from the Matsya Purana, which is the oldest of all the Puranas. It said in the Brahma Samhita, Ramadi Murtishu Kalani Amenatistan, that all the different forms of the Lord, they're like candles, and Krishna is the first candle, and all the other incarnations, they're compared to candles, so they have the same power. While Krishna is the first one, they all have the same power. However, they don't show these powers. Krishna has all the 6 opulences in full of wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. So the different incarnations, they manifest different powers or different opulences in a limited way according to what is required for that particular pastime, for that particular circumstance. So it's not that they have any less power, but it's just that there's only a certain amount that they manifest. And it's described that each of the different incarnations, they manifest different opulences of the Lord. And Matsya Avatar, he manifests the opulence of transcendental knowledge, because he came to protect the Vedas, to protect the knowledge. And but there are actually 2 Matsya Avatar. He appears in 2 different ages. At the time of the devastation, of the flood, of the universal devastation, during the night of Lord Brahma, because normally the devastation takes place during the night of Brahma, and that's when Matsya Avatar appears to protect the Vedas in the boat, when he pulls the boat. But then there's also another appearance, which is in the Manvantara of Chakshushamanu. So during the daytime of Lord Brahma, there's 14 Manvantaras. So because he appeared during the time of Chakshashamanu, that means it was during the daytime of Lord Brahma. So it's described that Lord Brahma actually, he just had a little nap at that time. And that's the time when Matsya-avatar appeared for Satyavrata, for his devotee, King Satyavrata. So just like sometimes during the day you feel sleepy, you have a little nap. So Lord Brahma, he had a little nap, and that's when Matsya-avatar appeared. And this one was especially for Satyavrata because King Satyavrata had actually performed austerities, and he had prayed to be able to protect the earth. And so he was given this boon by Lord Brahma that he could protect the earth at the time of universal devastation. So it's a very sweet pastime that King Satyavrata, he was by the river, he was doing his puja, he was offering some water, and this little fish appears in the palm of his hands, tiny little fish. So he throws him back into the water, and then he takes another palmful of water, and the fish is there again, and is talking to him and saying, "Please protect me." So he appeared in a very small way, like that, and King Satyavrata, being very merciful and compassionate, of course, he gave protection. So it's amazing how it's described in this verse from the Matsya Purana that Srila Prabhupada quotes in the purport, how that the Lord is the master of the entire creation, but he actually took shelter of his devotee, King Satyavrata, in the form of a small fish. So it's reminiscent of other pastimes of Krishna as well, that, like when Krishna appears as a child in Vraja, and he takes shelter of Nanda and Yashoda, and he becomes afraid of the chastisement of Mother Yashoda, even though he's the Lord of everything. And the prayers of Queen Kunti, that's described how amazing that is. So again, here you can see in this pastime of Matsya-avatar that even though he's the all-powerful Lord, he's taking shelter of his devotee, and this is a kind of pastime that he enjoys very much. So it starts off in a sort of parental way, in the sense that he's appealing to King Satyavrata's fatherly affection, as because a king is like a father to all the praja, all the citizens and all the living entities in his kingdom. So as a praja, this little fish is appealing to the king in a helpless way, "Please protect me, all these big fish, they're going to eat me." So King Satyavrata, he protects him, he puts him in a pot of water, and then the story goes on, which that will be told in subsequent classes, how Matsya-avatar, he grows bigger and bigger, and from a small pot he has to have, then King Satyavrata has to get a bigger pot, a bigger vessel, then he puts him in the pond, and then he gets bigger again, then the king puts him in the lake, and then this Matsya-avatar just keeps growing and growing, and bigger and bigger, until finally the king, he tries to put him in the ocean, and then again Matsya appeals to him that, "Oh, these sharks, they're going to eat me." But then eventually King Satyavrata, he understands who he's dealing with here, that this is not an ordinary fish, and it must be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it can't be anyone else. And then he offers prayers, and he is given the task, the Lord gives him his task to perform, that he has to collect together all the seeds and all the plants and animals and the 7 sages and the Vedas, and put them in a boat, and then they will be protected by Matsya-avatar, who will pull them, who will tow them with the rope of a Suki tied around his horn. He will pull the boat to safety. So it's a very wonderful, amazing pastime. It's also described in the Nectar of Devotion that there are 12 different rasas. Right? There's the 5 primary rasas, which we all know, and then there's the 7 indirect rasas. And these are also present in some of the incarnations of the Lord, and which Matsya Avatar is mentioned in that list. It doesn't say specifically which one of the rasas is happening here, but it could be astonishment, because certainly it's a very astonishing appearance of the Lord. And the king becomes very astonished when this little fish, who's appeared in the palm of his hands, grows and grows and grows and becomes this huge, huge fish. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma chame divyam, evam yo vetitatvataha, tyaktva punarjanma, naiti mam eti sojana. That just by understanding this, the birth and activities of the Lord, one can become liberated and go back home, back to Godhead. And in the purport to this verse, Srila Prabhupada, he quotes the verse from Brahma Samhita, Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Anantarupam, that how the Lord has innumerable different forms and incarnations. And Srila Prabhupada says that that if we can just understand that these incarnations, they are all Krishna, that they're non-different from Krishna, then that is actually the secret for us to become liberated from this world and go back home, back to Godhead. So by studying the pastimes of Krishna and of all his different incarnations, we can become qualified for the highest destination. So that's why it's really important to study and to hear, to read and to hear together with devotees about Krishna and about his different incarnations, and to be able to understand that they're all non-different from him, even though they appear in different forms of life, like Matsya, Kurma, and Varaha. They're very unusual forms of the Lord, appearing in different forms of life. Like the aquatics, the fish, they're normally associated with the modes of passion and ignorance. But Matsya Avatar was completely in Sudasattva, in transcendence, and he had nothing to do with the modes of nature. So we need to be able to understand that and to be able to see from his activities and from the way he reciprocates with his devotee, we can see Krishna there as well. Because he came, especially this second appearance of Matsya Avatar, when he came, especially just to favor King Satyavrata, his devotee, to fulfill the desire of his devotee, to protect the earth. He specially came and appeared to him. And he was very compassionate to rescue the earth. And King Satyavrata is eternally linked with Matsya Avatar because he wanted to be involved in that pastime, to protect the earth, to rescue the earth, and to protect the Vedas. Because although the Vedas are eternally present, they are sometimes manifest and sometimes unmanifest. Sometimes when people descend into ignorance, then the Vedas become unmanifest. So then they have to be, after some time, they have to be revived. So these two incarnations, Matsya Avatar and Hayagriva, they both have that role of protecting the Vedas and then returning them to Lord Brahma so that he can again propagate them. Because the earth without the Vedas would be of no use to anyone, because the purpose of material life is to actually develop knowledge, is to actually cultivate Vedic knowledge, because the material world is a prison house, and we're here as prisoners to become rectified and to become eligible to get out again and to go back home. So in order to do that, we need Vedic knowledge, the Vedic knowledge which gives us the means how to become, how to live in this world in such a way that we can eventually get out of this world and go back to our original position. So Matsya Avatar, he's the Lord himself, but he does this very merciful service of protecting the Vedas so that we can all have access to knowledge, and we can learn how to live and how to cultivate spiritual self-realization. And everything is there in the Vedas, how to run the society, the varnashram system, so that everyone from any level can gradually make advancement towards the ultimate goal of life. So Matsya Avatar, he's a fish, so he's not so attractive as the original personality of Godhead. Krishna is the most attractive form, the most attractive pastimes with his devotees. Krishna, he manifests all his opulences and all his qualities in full in that form. And the other forms of the Lord, they manifest partially these different opulences and qualities. So, although the same attraction is not there, but it is a very wonderful form of the Lord, and we just need to understand that it is the Lord, and that he, by his own sweet will, he appears in different forms like that. Like he appeared as Lord Varaha, also to rescue the earth, in the form of a hog, which is normally not considered to be an attractive form. But again, when Krishna appears in such a form, that becomes transcendental, and it's Krishna, out of his own sweet will, he can appear in any different form, and it's quite humorous, the forms that he chooses. And it can be a test of faith for a devotee to see the Lord in these different forms, which are very unusual forms. But that's why it's important to study and hear about these different incarnations, so we can, so that we can connect them all together and understand that they're all one and the same, that they're all Krishna, and that he's playing roles in his different pastimes, playing with his devotees, like in the form of Kurma, also That was a very unusual form as a tortoise. And he was playing such a lowly role. He was providing a resting place for the churning rod, so that the demons and demigods could churn the ocean of milk to find the nectar. So in this way, the Lord, he likes to serve his devotees sometimes by playing very humble roles. And this is really very amazing for devotees, and very moving. When, like in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, the Brahmana, the illiterate Brahmana who was reading Bhagavad Gita on the order of his spiritual master, he couldn't read, and he was crying. And Mahaprabhu found him in that condition and asked him, why are you crying? You can't even read this. And the Brahmin replied that whenever I think of how Krishna, he became the charioteer of his devotee Arjuna, then it just makes me cry. So the same mood can be seen. That's how we can understand that's Krishna, because Krishna just likes to serve his devotees. The devotees want to serve Krishna, but Krishna, he likes to serve his pure devotees. So he also, in the form of Matsya Avatar, he was actually pulling the boat. He told King Satyavrata, just tie the rope around my horn, tie it to the boat, and I will pull the boat. So he was pulling the boat, and in that boat was King Satyavrata, was all the rishis, and was all the different living entities. And the Lord was just pulling them. He was serving them. Just like Krishna served Arjuna by driving his chariot. So that mood of service is best shown in Krishna himself, that he relishes being able to serve his devotees. And we can see that in every one of his incarnations, how he came to perform some service for his devotees. Vinashaya, Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chaduskritam, how he comes to protect his devotees and to destroy the demons. Of course, the incarnation of Matsya Avatar was quite a very peaceful incarnation. That's why he took the form of a fish. He didn't appear like Lord Nrsingadev in a very ferocious form, because there was no demon to kill in this particular pastime. So he took the peaceful form of a fish, swimming in the water, protecting the Vedas, and protecting his devotees through the time of this devastation. So whatever comes, Jai Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda, Jai Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshmana Hanuman, Jai Shri Shri Gaunitai. So whether it's a universal devastation or whatever difficulties come, sometimes things can become so difficult in material life that it feels like a universal devastation. Sometimes it can get to that point, but Krishna is always there to rescue and protect his devotees. So the Lord is showing that also in this particular pastime, that he's always there for his devotees, and he, as he declared to Arjuna in the Gita, that he told Arjuna, declare it boldly that my devotee will never be vanquished. So he comes to re-establish the principles of religion, and this was done in the way of protecting the Vedas, establishing again the principles of religion, giving guidance, giving protection, and giving pleasure to his devotees by appearing in numerous different amazing forms. And Matsya Avatar is actually a plenary incarnation. There are some of the incarnations are plenary, full, and others there are Shaktivesh avatars, which manifest different potencies. And Kapila Dev also, Kapila Dev was a form that also manifested the potency of knowledge, of transcendental knowledge. And he also appeared as a child and gave instruction. So just as Matsya Avatar, first of all, when he appeared to King Satyavrata, he was appealing to him just like a small child to a father, please protect me. But then once he grew to his amazing gigantic size, then he took on the next part of the pastime was for him to give instructions to King Satyavrata. So you can see parallels in different incarnations, how Kapila Dev, he appeared as a child of his devotees, but then he actually gave instructions to his mother, and he taught the Sankhya Yoga, how to differentiate between matter and spirit. And this same Sankhya Yoga was actually taught by Matsya Avatar, and that is all described in the Matsya Purana, which is the oldest Purana. And similarly, you can see Vamanadev. He appeared as a child, as a dwarf Brahmin, as a young boy, a very beautiful young boy, to his devotee Bali Maharaj, and he was also begging to him. He just asked for 3 steps of land, just like Matsya Avatar asked for a little bowl of water to begin with, and then his needs kept on expanding and expanding. So in the same way, Vamanadev, he asked for 3 steps of land, but then once he'd taken 2 steps, then with his first step he spanned the world, the next step he spanned the universe, and he just took over. And then for the 3rd step he asked Bali Maharaj, where shall I put my 3rd step? And Bali Maharaj had to give himself. He said, please place it on my head, my lord. He had to surrender himself. So in this way, Vamanadev, just from 3 steps of land, he took away everything from Bali Maharaj. And in the same way, Matsya Avatar, first of all, he asked for a little water, but then he grew to this huge size and created this devastation. And so the Lord sometimes appears very small. He is smaller than the smallest, and he is greater than the greatest. Sometimes he appears very small, but then all of a sudden he becomes very huge. And these are the amazing pastimes of the Lord, how he appears. So there are many parallels like that can be seen. And the qualities also, there are parallels between the qualities, especially the mercy and compassion also of the Lord. That, as it said in this verse, but by his mercy and compassion he appeared in this way as Matsya Avatar. So sometimes the mercy of the Lord comes, it's said that when he is very merciful to his devotee, then he takes away everything. And so the devotee is left with nothing, but he has to take full shelter, and he has to surrender to the Lord. Sometimes Krishna puts us through many difficulties and trials and tribulations just to bring us closer to him. And so that is his mercy. And it can be very painful because we have so many material attachments. We have so much material conditioning. We try to create a comfortable situation for ourselves in this world. And we keep various props around us But then one by one, Krishna takes them away. It may be very slowly in some cases, in other cases it may be quickly. In this way he's reciprocating with each one of his devotees individually. And we have to be ready. Of course, we're never ready when difficulties come, but then we learn to adjust and to understand how Krishna's mercy is coming through so many different forms and through so many different ways. So I will stop here and ask if anyone has further comments or questions or anything you'd like to discuss, because we've got a few more minutes.